Alright, so to create the rest of these guys, all we have to do is go to our front plane and create a sketch. And then I'm going to grab my center line tool. I'm actually going to work my way down this thing, snapping to each point along the way. Now we don't actually need all of these curves, but it's just easier to do all of these rather than kind of drop the tool and pick it back up and create a whole bunch of separate segments. This is just slightly quicker. Alright, looks good. Now we just have to add explicit points wherever we think we want for a dot to be. Alright, so let's keep in mind as we do this, we got to keep a mental count of what we're doing so we don't get this wrong. This one is G on the 3rd fret, so this is going to be G sharp and A sharp and B, and then B is right next to C, which will then be C sharp. This is D, this is D sharp, this is E. This is going to be F right here, F sharp. This one is G, A, and then B is this very last one. Now let's just double check that. It's always good to double check before we move ahead. And I would count that just by making sure that we find the 12th fret. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This should be E, and it does have a dot. Now I actually want for E to have a double dot. So what I'm going to do is grab my center line here and create 2 horizontal lines with that one center. Let's delete that center dot there, though. We're going to set these to a midpoint constraint here. There we go. And then we'll add explicit points at the 2 ends of this. And it turns out explicit points don't like being created on top of existing points. So what you have to do is just create them out in space and then drag them and snap them to the end points of the line. Kind of silly, right? Well, that's what you got to do. And then we'll take these 2 lines, make them equal, so they're the same length, and which basically makes them symmetrical, so we can put this wherever we want. So we have our 2 dots there for the E, that high E. And then we click OK, and we have our finished sketch with all of our positions for our different dots. So we should be able to hide all of the fret position sketches there. And we're going to have to do 2 different patterns here. First, we'll go up to our pattern list and do a sketch-driven pattern using this sketch as our reference. We'll use, under Features to Pattern, we're going to choose our Cut Extrude. All right, we'll do that. And let's find the sketch that we used for that Cut Extrude. I'm going to show it, because what we need is a reference point on the front plane, and we happen to have one, which is the center of that original circle. Use that. And suddenly we have dots exactly where we think we want them, which means we have G, A, B, C, D, and E. Perfect. And one really important point is to make sure that under Options, you do not have Geometry Pattern set. If you do have Geometry Pattern set, weird things might happen. All right, so turn that off. Click OK. And now we have a whole bunch of holes, exactly where we want them. Now we just need to duplicate that inlay. So we'll do our sketch-driven pattern. Click on the stuff that the points that we want to use to duplicate this thing. And use under Bodies to Pattern this time, instead of Features, we'll choose that inlay. And then we just have to choose a reference point, which will be, once again, the center of the original circle. Click OK. And now we have all of our dots exactly where we want them on our fretboard. Hide all the sketches that we don't need. And we are in really good shape, people. Let's close this up. And now we have dots on this guy. Man, that is cool. This thing is coming together. All right.